Hey guys, welcome back to Radical Living Podcast. Just want to remind you to like, subscribe, share, and comment on all of our platforms, including Instagram and Facebook. This episode, I sat down with Justin from Street Soccer NI. In this conversation, we talk about their amazing journey and the incredible work that they do and the groups that they work with. Really hope you guys enjoy this one. And we pick up this conversation where I've asked Justin to begin explaining how Street Soccer NI was formed and why he is so passionate about it.
Yeah, so I was working in a homeless hostel in East Belfast. Me and another staff member were doing football with the guys.
Yeah.
And then we started to play like another hostel from Ballymena actually. We played a wee friendly or two. And then one of the residents did like a tournament and got a number of hostels that came to that tournament. And so that's where kind of the football side came from it, just because there was a bunch of residents in the homeless hostel at the time interested. And then we joined like a weekly, the weekly six-a-side leagues you get around the country. We joined one of those and we got hammered every week. But the thing about it is it costs like 35 quid, each week.
Mm-hmm.
But the hostel, and it doesn't sound like much, but the hostel were getting annoyed because they didn't have the money to spend every week in this football project. So the idea came that we thought it'd be great to set up a league where hostels, homeless hostels, or asylum seeker centers, stuff like that, any disadvantaged group could come along, play a couple of hours of football every week, no cost involved, and in fact you would get support with and all that stuff. So that was our dream. And then we'd heard about the Homeless World Cup as well. And obviously we knew Northern Ireland was never represented. So we were thought, imagine getting away every year. We probably thought we could play in it. That's probably why we're so excited. And then we thought, that just seems like a long way off, to do something like that. But we ended up bumping into a couple of guys who we told them our vision of setting up the first homeless football league in the country, and they thought it was a great idea, and they had a bit of money. So it was a place called Belfast Community Sports Network, and Michael Boyd from the AFA as well. So both of them supported us to do like a pilot in South Belfast. So we did a wee five-a-side tournament, invited a load of hostels, and we had 7 teams turn up, and it was brilliant. And so we did that for a few months, and then it just continued on from that. And I'm so passionate about football, so that's why. Like anything, if you're passionate about it, you're going to put your energy into it. You're going to put your time, your focus. It's going to drive you on. So that was I loved it just as much as the players. So that's what inspired me to keep growing it and pushing in.
Definitely. And you're based up in Belfast, but also Derry, is that right?
Yeah. So our office is in East Belfast. We're based where the hostel is, where it originated from. So we have 10 weekly sessions, but with 2 main centres is Belfast and Derry, and then we're obviously we'd like to spread the other places across Northern as well.
Yeah, maybe hopefully in the future, but I think that's amazing that you guys had that dream and that vision and kind of see it unfold and play out. But this podcast is obviously called Radical Living. So I'm just interested, Justin, to kind of hear what you think radical means and what you would say about it.
Yeah, so I guess for me, being radical is kind of being fanatical about something, and it's kind of like not being the norm and taking risks. And that's people would say I'm radical because I'm not your normal leader. I do things different, and I like to take risks to achieve things. And a saying I would have it from the Bible, it says, you can't walk on water if you don't get out of the boat. So, you have to sometimes just do things, and you don't know all the answers. You don't know if it's always going to work, but you just have to step out and be bold. And instead of just settling for the norm, and when you do that, you end up achieving great things. And and you're not fazed by what other people are fazed by and held back by.
Just going back to Street Soccer NI, what does a week look like for you guys? So you have loads of different areas. You work mainly with over 16s, if that's right.
Yeah.
So what does a week look like for you?
So obviously at the minute it's all online, but a normal week,
Yeah.
when there's no coronavirus, we have basically 10 weekly sessions across
Mhm.
Belfast and Derry, and a session will look like 1 to 2 hours of football.
Yep.
Um, and once people engage in the football, I mean, the football, we never know how many's going to turn up. You know, we have 20 fellas turn up, some arrive late, whatever. You hand bibs out and you play for 2 hours. You have a referee, keep things disciplined.
Yeah.
Because it can go mad if the staff try to step in as ref and they're not even watching the game.
Yeah.
So it's better just paying someone separate just to focus. That's his only role.
Yeah.
And then it keeps it competitive. And once people come, they love the project. Then you find out, well, what do they need? How can street soccer help change your life? And so we do regular support plans and things, and looking at their goals and their needs. So it could be housing,
Yeah.
employability, education, maybe issues with addiction and stuff like that. Whatever they want help with, basically, we're there to support them. But if not, if they want to just come to the football and just
Yeah.
play, I mean, that's already helping them with their mental health and their addictions and stuff
Yeah.
anyway. That's in terms of the football, that's what we do. And then, like, obviously we'll have social events and stuff tied into that as well. And then like courses and things as well. But mostly every week throughout the year, if you're in Belfast, you could be playing football 4 or 5 times a week with us.
Yeah. Very good.
And the women's session, the women's football is slightly different. It's 2 sessions a week. We don't have as many females, obviously, as men. But we're working with around 120 people every week across the projects. Around 20 would be female. So we only have a women's project in Belfast, but we would love to spread the women's project out to Derry as well and other places. And then we have 2 sessions a week for learning disabilities. So they're like players that are referred from the Belfast Trust, who have social workers and stuff. So they absolutely love that. So they would do more like coaching and stuff, and then a wee bit of football. So it's going great. But we'd love to keep growing and maybe reaching the other areas, like working with under 16s maybe eventually.
Yeah. You were just saying there about how you have we support packages and stuff for the players, but I know I didn't have this down, but for you, faith is obviously an element to what you do. So is that like a big kind of drive for you and reaching these people and trying to bring that support to them?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the biggest thing that drives me is trying to reach people for the kingdom, is trying to influence people.
Yeah.
Street soccer, it's not down as a Christian charity, but a lot of the staff are Christians, and so we love to obviously tell people about the Lord. If they ask, and we invite them to church meetings and things like that. And a lot of people, once they hear that, they get to know us, a lot of the players will ask, can I come to church with you sometime? Or do you have a Bible? So it's just when we get out there and we shine our light and we love people, then they just want to, like I said, they want to come to church and things. They want to know more. That's our main goal, is to obviously we help the other needs, but the greatest need we can help is to bring them to Jesus.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah.
No, I think it's a great work that you guys are doing, and just kind of spoke about what you're doing locally, but you also go internationally. So you mentioned before about the Homeless World Cup, but even share like just kind of what countries you've been to, where you're hoping to go, and just a little bit more of the projects that you do.
Yeah, sure. So we've been to 7 Homeless World Cups since 2013.
Wow.
So we went to Poland, Chile, Amsterdam, Glasgow, Norway, Mexico, and then last year it was in Cardiff. So they picked a bad year.
Yeah.
No, but actually Cardiff was the best because it was like sunny every day in Cardiff.
No way.
Mexico, and it wasn't even the sunny. But no, so the Homeless World Cup, it's an amazing project. So you have around 60 countries taking part every year.
Yeah.
You have like 48 men's teams, and then you have 16 women's teams taking part, and even the lead up to it, you're working with players when they're selected for 4 or 5 months, training a couple of times a week, working on whatever support they need. building them up to represent their country
Mm-hmm.
and to be at their fittest and at their best.
Yeah.
And straight away, the players take it serious. All their families behind them, their friends. It's the proudest moment of their life.
Yeah.
So you'll find that they're making better choices. They're trying to get fitter. They're trying to behave. Stops people committing crime because they don't want to miss it.
Brilliant.
And they go away to this tournament for 10 days. Representing your country. People back home watching you on YouTube all your matches. The media are always over doing interviews with you.
Yeah.
People who are maybe low in confidence, all of a sudden they're like a celebrity back home, and it's just an incredible experience. And when players come back, like, they're just full of confidence, and they're ready to take on the world. They're ready to do anything really. And the downside is you can only play it once.
Yeah.
So that's a pity. I mean, you can't go back as a coach or something. So
Yeah.
after the World Cup, we have like 10 coaches wanting to go.
Go back.
So yeah, we always bring a previous player away as a mentor coach to follow.
Very good.
So they can experience a lot again, but it's also they're actually the best for helping the new ones.
Yeah, because they've been there, they've experienced it.
Yeah, so and probably try and help the new players, keep them out of trouble as well. But it has a massive impact, like I say, on the players. And once you've been to the World Cup and you've been through all that support, years to come, players still come back and join our projects and pick up where they left off. And because they know that, the love that's been shown, the family, they're always a part of it. And so I love it whenever, like, you haven't seen players for 3 or 4 years, then they come back and get stuck in again. I love it.
It's like they never left.
Yeah, it's something like, they get work and stuff, so then you don't see them for a while, and then all of a sudden they have a week off, so they're like, oh, I must get down and shoot something. So that's a major part of our charity. It's not just running every week, which is a lot of work, but it's actually every single year we have to raise 50 to 100 grand to take away, a team of 20, 8 players and staff and volunteers and all that stuff. Well, 2 teams, sorry, men and women. So, that's a huge thing. And that's what about being radical is, most people will be freaked out thinking we don't have the money for the next World Cup. We don't know where it's going to come from. But where I'm just total at peace. I'm just like, the money will come in. And even last minute, it will come in. Don't worry. And it always comes in. So give God the glory for that. So we all, because it's not cheap doing those things. But yeah, so we try and get as many international trips as we can. We try every year as well to take people on residentials because, if you want your players to engage in all the support, to do all the courses around education, employment, all the stuff to keep funders happy, you have to do. If you want your players to do all that stuff, the best thing is to say, you do all this, there's possibly a 3-day trip to England or this trip, and they're all queuing up. Because we're working with the most excluded groups who aren't in any education, who've never worked, who hate courses, who don't want to do any of that stuff. So how do you engage them? And that's why you have to add something exciting to it, But it's like us all. We all have to.
I know. Definitely, but I think leading nicely on from that, Justin, and you brought it up again there about the money and being radical. What would be 3 tips that you would give someone like listening to this?
Well, my first one actually that I had in my head was just basically is be willing to take risks.
Yeah.
Is to be willing to step out whenever you can't see all the answers. When there's no safety nets, and that's where I see a lot of people. They fail. They don't reach their potential. They don't do the things they could do, is because the fear of the unknown. What if this? And so they won't take the risks. Even like with my job, I don't even know if I'm going to have salary come April. My salary is only for a year at a time, but I've never once worried about it.
Yeah.
And some people think he's mad. There's something wrong with him. Why is he not worried about this stuff? And I'll say, well, it's in his hands. Because I can trust God, I can give him my worries. I don't need to worry about it. And it always comes in. But other people might freak out and think, well, I can't step out and do a job that only pays me for a year and there are no guarantees of the next year. I can't do that. So then they'll do something they don't really want to do and maybe not as passionate about. So for me, take a risk. So what's the worst that could happen? And the second one I would say is basically kind of similar. Is don't let fear hold you back, and fear of failure or the fear of man is a big one as well. And even in my own life, of stuff has stopped me from reaching my potential, because it's always that what if it doesn't work, or the fear of man's a big one, I could say. And so yeah, it's just pushing yourself to step out, and yeah, just go for it. I mean, if you want to achieve great things, you're gonna have to step out and take risks. And yeah, and then the third one is, I would say, like, work hard. You're gonna have to work harder than some people. Like street soccer, people will say, "Oh, that's great. You're doing a great work and stuff and reaching people," but they don't realize that the work that went in behind the scenes. I mean, I started off running street soccer with 4 hours a week. 4 hours a week. What can you do 4 hours a week? Like, so there was a lot of time, and I had to put in outside of work. But because I was passionate about it, that drove me on. It didn't feel like work to me. But that's why you have to be passionate about it as well. Because if you're not passionate about it, you'll not want to put the extra work in. So if you wanted a fourth one, you could say, find out what you're passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get stuck in, because usually when your passions and the things that are on your heart, it lines up with what God has for your life anyway. He's put those desires and the things in there. So
love those answers. And I think just from what you said there, it's not the easiest path to take, but it's definitely worthwhile. And even like just for yourself, Justin, like seeing, your dream become a reality. Like you've now been in 7 Homeless World Cups, 7 different countries. You're seeing this local, and you want it to grow. And just, from thinking about growth, have you got like any upcoming events? Have you got any news for anybody that might be listening?
Yeah, so the Homeless World Cup isn't going to run this year, by the sounds of it, just because of the pandemic. So they contacted me about maybe doing another. We held like a Six Nations tournament last year.
Yep.
And then, so the Homeless World Cup had rang me to say, would we be doing something like that again? Maybe that's something that they could help out with, and maybe invite a few other countries. But obviously we don't have the money at the minute. There's no guarantees, but that's something that we will maybe look into doing at the end of the year. In terms of the charity and growing and stuff, we're looking at maybe setting up a new project in Newry. We have a guy that we know who's going to go down there. Is actually going to be working alongside a church, down Church of Ireland down there. So he had mentioned to me that it'd be great to have a street soccer project down there, and he'd be a great guy to be a coordinator as well. So we're going to chat about that. So that'll be amazing to branch out down there. So yeah, so we always want to grow, and we want to impact more people. And just another thing in Derry as well, that we're trying to reach more people from ethnic communities.
Yeah.
We work with a load of people in Belfast from the Iranian community and Sudanese, and it's growing, which is great. But in Derry, we don't really have that yet. So we know there's obviously loads of people there from around the world. So we're just going to set up a separate project just for them. So hopefully that'll encourage them, and they'll feel safe to join, and then they can obviously join in the rest of the stuff. So that's a goal as well.
Guys, just want to say thank you for listening to our latest episode, and want to say a massive thank you to Justin for recording this episode with me. Make sure and check those guys out on Facebook and Instagram. They also have an amazing website, Street Soccer NI. Type it in, go check it out, and show your support. I think we can all realise that radical means risks, and it means to be yourself. So we want to encourage you guys to be radical, and whatever that looks like for you. Please make sure to go and share with as many people as possible, and remember to be radical.